restore them to their federal jobs. You know, in a very real sense or in substance, Judge Alsup told Donald Trump that he must go from "you're fired" to "you're rehired."
Cringe.
And this is something that is not going to sit well with Donald Trump, with the administration. Of course, it will be subject to an appeal, and we can talk about that in a few minutes. But Brian, you know, he ruled from the bench. Judge Alsup ruled from the bench, and so we have to rely on the reporting that came out regarding what he said until we have a transcript. But I have to tell you, the federal courts are taking off the gloves, and they are punching in a way you don't often see.
Oh my God, bro. Hell yeah. Well, who enforces the laws from the courts, bro?
Figuratively speaking, punching in a way you don't often see federal court judges punch. Let me read just a couple of Judge Alsup's comments, the quotes that he made today from the bench. He said, quote, "It is a sad day when our government would fire some good employee and say it was based on performance when they know good and well that's a lie." I mean, those are really direct, pointed.
The crazy thing, too, is when they fire these government employees, we're going to spend more money for contractors to do the same jobs, by the way. We're going to keep spending money, but it's going to be less efficient. It's actually funny because we're getting less efficient, but big companies will make money off it because we're going to privatize everything.
Comments from this judge. He went on to say this was a sham in order to try to avoid statutory requirements. That was a little more politely. He went about saying, yeah, you did it intentionally. You tried to hide it. You tried to misrepresent it, but you violated the law. And then it actually gets worse for Donald Trump's DOJ lawyers who are going into court and arguing this garbage to federal court judges. Here's what Judge Alsup had to say about the DOJ attorneys, Donald Trump's DOJ attorneys, who were.
So you made a statement earlier that said Trump won off of racism. So I guess my question is, so with Trump winning the popular vote plus all of the swing states, does that mean you believe that more than half of the country is racist, in your opinion? I'd like to talk to you live. Give me a call back.
Okay, I'll give him a call back.
Hey.
Hi, this is the Politics YouTube guy. What's up?
Yeah, I just heard my voice.
Beautiful. Yeah,
So
you can go ahead on whatever you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, I mean, you heard the question. I was just curious as to what your opinion was on the question.
I think if you voted for Trump, then I think Americans are very scared of social change, and it causes them to vote for people who are also playing off of those fears and anxieties and anger. So like BLM, gay marriage, trans issues all came really quick over the past 10 years, and Trump was kind of the response to that. And I think that matters to voters more than the economic conditions did. And I think Trump is good at propaganda too. So like Trump lied about things like Social Security. He lied about the economy in general, about Biden's economy, and like whose fault it was for the inflation. So he did lie for those issues as well. But you have to be okay. You have to be at least okay with some racist tendencies to vote Trump for sure. Sometimes, but I mean, I'll be honest though. Like, most people don't have enough information to even make that judgment, so I don't blame them. I don't think everyone's racist that voted for Trump. No, I do think he is, but I don't think everyone that voted for him was.
Do you you mentioned the Social Security lies. Can you give me an example of something like that?
So Trump made efforts to cut Social Security and to privatize Social Security with every budget, but it was blocked by Democrats when he was running for his first term. They spread flyers all throughout swing states saying that Kamala wanted to cut Social Security, tax it more, and give it to illegal aliens, which all was not true at all. And they said Trump wanted to protect Social Security and expand it when he tried cutting it every term as president. So like, you can tell what they're going to do by their actions, and Trump lied about protecting it, and it's going to be on the chopping block probably in the next budget, maybe next year, 2026, 2027, possibly. But on that issue, they lied about Kamala's position, and for the first time ever, a Republican actually had like 50-50 in the polling for Social Security. So Trump polled number one for any Republican for Social Security, and I think you can only come to that conclusion after being lied to and propagandized. And what I always say, by the way, I do not expect people to be political experts. One benefit of our system, having representatives, is like I don't know a lot about cars, but I could pick a good mechanic. I don't know a lot about contracting, but I could pick a good contractor to build a deck for me, based off reviews and all that kind of stuff. I don't expect people to be policy wonks. People don't have time for that. They have social lives, they have kids, they have jobs. So they have to trust the politicians in a certain way. And Trump has a way of coming off as authentic to them, and he's good at manipulating people, in my opinion. So that's why I say, although I think bad things about him, I don't think the same bad things about the supporters, because they truly are, in my opinion, lied to about a lot of his policies. And even with immigration, Trump voters I talked to thought he was just going to go after violent offenders, but he's going after all immigrants, even dreamers, visa holders, visa overstays, undocumented people that have kids that are citizens. He's going after all of them. And a lot of voters that I know that voted Trump thought he was just going to crack down on violent immigration.
And for a fact, based off of your own research, that he's going after all dreamers and all green card holders, or it happens to be potentially a mistake. I mean, given that they're trying to deport millions of people, you don't think that potentially there's room for some mistakes that they could then correct, just like anything
else? Thank you so much for $10, Jacob. Thank you for $10, Jacob. Jacob, you can literally become a channel member for $3 a month. A channel membership gives you access to the Discord stuff, Jacob. Sorry, say that again. Sorry, I got distracted by the donation.
My question was, your statement was that Trump is going after all dreamers, all green card holders. But to be frank, my opinion is that that is not the intention. It's the fact that they're trying to make such an intense deportation of a massive amount of people that you end up with potential mistakes along the way, just as anything that's done on a major level that they can then correct.
So how I know, we have numbers from ICE, from Border Patrol, and just in general from our deportations so far. So Joe Biden's rate of deportations, 75% or more were violent offenders or illegal immigrants that were deported. Under Trump, it's less than 50% that are violent or illegal offenders, because you're not illegal. Yeah, the percentage of Trump right now, we're getting a lot of people who are non-violent, who are just members of their communities. One story, they tried deporting someone who had a military license with them, and they detained a family from Puerto Rico and didn't believe they have U.S. citizenship. They just now deported a family. The daughter of this family was a U.S. citizen, a child dealing with brain cancer, getting treatments for it, and their parents were undocumented. They deported that entire family. So they are going after anyone they can get because they want to run the numbers up of the deportation numbers. So it's not a flaw at all. If you look at Tom Homan, by the way, look at Tom Homan speak on Fox News. He's going after everyone. And that's the policy they want.
I think personally that Tom Homan is tremendous, and he has a multiple decades of experience within this career field, and also under Biden's presidency, and not just Biden's presidency, but I'll just use that for an example. We had a complete and total open border policy, letting anyone who is anyone into our country with
each time we
no
accept
proper
dehumanization as politics
legal
each time we
immigration
normalize
going on, while we
extraordinary
also
measures
have,
against
people
unhumans,
that
we
I
dig
know
the grave
personally
for our
who
own
immigrated
humanity.
from, an
The
example
most
is
frightening
Argentina.
aspect is
Him
not
and his
what they
family
would do
came
to
here
their
legally,
enemies,
and
but what they
quite
have
frankly,
already
they're
done to
fed up.
themselves.
I mean, I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but I know from what they have told me that they are fed up with people's ability to come over the border completely illegally, scot-free, while I don't know the number, but probably millions have full intent to immigrate here legally, which is obviously an extensive process, which I do think should be not as strenuous as it is. But I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Biden did not have open borders. We had a huge influx of immigration after COVID, with people coming here. They did not know how to handle the cases, but they did follow the law, and worked to the best of their ability. Biden got a $1.5 billion investment from Mexico in 2022 that really paid dividends. It was a 2-year plan that did help us decrease border crossings and make checkpoints for immigration, which is the way you're supposed to do it. They tried passing a border bill that Trump helped get shot down. So they tried providing some solutions, or at least some attempts to fix problems with immigration. But for me as a taxpayer, I do not want my taxpayer dollars going to deporting little kids with cancer or their parents or anyone that overstayed a visa. I want to give them a path of citizenship, especially if they're working in our communities, never commit a crime, never commit a violent offense. I'd rather have them be members of our community and continue being productive rather than spend my taxpayer dollars on deporting them. I'd rather all of the resources should go after crime. All of the resources should go after making communities safe.
And I think that's sensible, and generally I would agree with that. However, we're talking about that has collateral damage just as Trump's method has collateral damage. I mean, again, under that sort of immigration policy, the collateral damage is letting illegal immigrants who are violent offenders into our country. And I mean, we can just take the Colorado example with the
I'm not saying let just like violent offenders in. I'm not saying that. I'm saying anyone who's here already. So like, for example, like if you're a family living here and you worked on a visa for 5 years and you're now a visa overstayer, that's a civil infraction. I think you should have a path to citizenship. I don't want to deport those people at all, but we're devoting a lot of resources to them instead of making sure the borders are shored up and passing policy there, or instead of going after violent crime in total, because they want to run the numbers up for immigrants in general. I want a path to citizenship for all of those people. And it costs so much money, taxpayer dollars, to deport all of these people who are just like benefits to our community. That's my biggest issue with what's happening right now, and the dehumanization of immigrants as well. And thank you so much for the $10 and for that message for the TTS a second ago for the donation. And yeah, the dehumanization is the big point on like whenever you talk about immigration with Trump, it's all violent, rape. You can't be safe around these people. They're going to invade your suburbs. Like there's no reason to talk about that every time you discuss immigration, when the immigration, like the crime rate for immigrants, documented, undocumented, illegal, legal, it's lower than naturally born American citizens. Like immigrant communities are some of the safest communities in America. And it's like, it's just the dehumanizing people in general, it always ends up bad at some point. We can't keep going down that road. It should be professional, legitimate attempts at solutions to fix these issues. Like any conversation about cats and dogs and everyone's a gang member and everyone's a danger and they're leeches on the system, when in reality immigrants provide a huge stimulus to the economy. Like I just hate the dehumanizing anti-Christian conversations that they have about it as well.
Okay, well, let me just say I agree about the dehumanization of immigration, or immigrants rather. I'm completely on board with you, but I also think that you're smart enough to know that people appeal off of emotion. And I think both Dems and Republicans use that strategy. Well, now, I think the way that Trump goes about it is pretty fucking wild. Excuse me.
Well, didn't Kamala say that she wanted like the border bill though? Like I feel like Democrats go to Trump's side way more than Trump ever went to a Democrat side on this issue, because they want to be border hawks too. I feel like in their policy. Like I
can tell you. Let me just clarify. I mean, we're talking about military integration in our current border. That's more than any Democrat has ever, to my knowledge, has ever done in our history.
Well, like you know that Obama was called like deporter in chief and everything.
Say again.
Obama deported far more people than Trump did, and his border was much tougher than Trump's ever was, like Obama's was. But he just didn't, like, the reason people think Obama was not tough on the border...
Are you talking about in comparison to Trump's 2016 term?
Yeah, in general, Obama, even right now, the deportation numbers were higher under Obama in the first, like, 100 days of Trump's term, and what that's going to be. But, like, the thing that I have an issue with is Trump, and just to contextualize everything, Trump said he won in 2016 based off immigration. But if you look at immigration numbers under Obama, it actually was at a really pretty much an all-time low at that point when Trump won the presidency in 2016. It shot back up when Trump took office. And my big thing is people who are conservatives thought Obama was easy on the border when he was harder on the border than Trump was. But my big reason for why people don't think Obama was as hard, can you guess why I think people did not know Obama was hard on the border?
I can't guess that, no.
It's because of the way that Trump leaned into, like, oh, Mexicans are rapists and killers. Not all of them. I assume some are decent people, but they're rapists and killers. Some might be good. And how he leaned into the imagery and talking about thugs and violence and you can't walk outside, it's too dangerous, and the sanctuary cities, you're going to get murdered. He made it a political prop and a political ploy, and he did like rely on a lot of people's biases to make it look like he was tougher on the border. He spoke super tough, But like Obama, like even the child separation stuff, Democrats have done that. But like Trump is the one that made it a very outward messaging campaign to make the cruelty a part of his political vision and political model. I do want to ask you a question about Tom Homan then, but I'll let you respond to that point. It's just the perception versus reality thing, because Obama was extremely tough on the border. Progressives hated Obama because of how many people Obama like deported.
I'll go ahead and go to the Tom Homan question, because to be frank, I don't know the facts and statistics.
Okay, I appreciate that. Did you see the spat between AOC and Tom Homan a few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago? I don't know about a few weeks ago. I've seen spats between AOC and Tom Homan.
Yeah, so AOC did like a webinar where she talked about legal rights if ICE knocks on your door. Like if you have to open the door up, if you have to like do they need a warrant to come in, like a know your rights session. And Tom Homan accused AOC of doing something illegal. So I guess, I mean, it's hard to talk about this if you don't have the prior like context, if you didn't see it. But I guess Tom Homan and the DOJ threatened to arrest AOC, and she's like, why are you going to arrest me? Like, I'm just telling people their constitutional rights. So yeah, I didn't know if you saw anything about that or if you had any opinions on it.
Again, I haven't seen that specific example, but I can also tell you, again, like you're talking about Trump and his appeal on people's emotions, and talking about rapists and killers and this and that and the other. AOC, along with her constituents, have, as you know, put Tom Homan on a questioning board where they do similar things about, you know, the separation of family. And Tom Homan has life experience to rebuttal that. And I'm sure you've seen this, the case where Tom Homan mentions what he's witnessed at his time on the border in regards to children being immigrated across our border through gangs who there's plenty of fucking collateral, again, excuse me for my language.
New donation
There's
from
plenty of
Sliver.
collateral damage when you're
$10
involving
what begins as
cartel members,
enforcement becomes normalization of cruelty.
immigrating
The
people
state that
illegally.
develops
You
capacity
know,
to
I mean,
identify, detain,
again,
and
he has a
remove
specific
millions based
example
on
where
their
he witnessed,
classification as
I don't
illegal
remember, I
or
think a
unbelonging
6-year-old
creates
boy
precisely the administrative apparatus that can be
about to
turned against
die
any
just
group.
asking for his mother. I mean, again, I don't think the point here is to play on people's emotions. I think both sides do it. But again, there's plenty of life experience that comes from Tom Homan, and
I don't really care
appreciate
about his experience though, because like you could change. I don't know. I just the big issue here was, and thank you so much for another donation as well, from Sliver. Thank you for another $10 about enforcement becoming normalization of cruelty. And you can do something that you think is legally just and enforce normalizing a cruel politics. So the world is very difficult, and that's why I'm against a lot of the rhetoric, of course. The main conversation about AOC was she did a session telling people their rights, and Tom Homan accused her of obstructing the deportation process. And then the Pam Bondi or the DOJ said that they're going to come after AOC with legal challenges, and they were trying to threaten AOC to stop telling her constituents their constitutional rights, or they were going to come after her illegally. And that is like a huge legal violation, and I do not respect that at all that they went after her on that basis. But I do want to take one more caller before I go off, so I want to end on whatever point you want to end
on. Okay, well, I'm just going to say, assuming that everything you just said is 100% factual and is not giving Tom Homan any additional context, I would agree with that statement. However, I know that Tom Homan has gone after people like that for literally obstructing their ability to do their job as it pertains to like ICE and stuff like that. I wouldn't, again, I haven't seen it, but it's not my opinion that Tom Homan would go after AOC simply just because she's explaining to people their constitutional rights. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't confirm that 100%. But I've seen Tom Homan a lot, and I don't think that that's something he would do. I'll look into it after this.
Yeah, if you see something about it and you want to call in a different time, just remind me that we talked about this, and then you could let me know if you looked into it.
But I do want to say, the point that I do want to end on, if you'll allow me, is in regards to funding Ukraine and potentially stopping our funding to Ukraine. We've funded Ukraine over $300 billion. And the European Union has lent Ukraine
$100 billion.
That's not true, though. That's not true. That number's not true.
Okay. What I know is that the European Union is giving Ukraine loans.
The
We
EU
are
gave
giving
more money
them
than we did overall.
a gift.
So like we gave around $120 billion in total aid. The EU gave $130 billion. We gave half of that, maybe more than half, in weapons, which we paid our own manufacturers to make more weapons in America to boost our economy. And we gave them some of our old equipment. We did provide like 50 to 60 billion in total aid, other than weapons. And then the EU provided more aid. Like when Trump says the $300 billion number, that's insane because he lies very often with that. You could look up the numbers and the expenditures passed by our House and actually sent to Ukraine. All the budget bills are public. There's a couple different metrics that they measure it by, but the EU has given more money, and out of theirs, like I think like 90 billion or 100 billion is just total grants or awards, and then like 20 billion is loans. So they gave a lot more than we did in total cash, because a lot of our cash went back into our economy, so we didn't really give it to Ukraine. And that's why there's that Zelensky quote where he's saying that he doesn't know where the $100 million went. It's because he did not get that extra $100 million that people think he got. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. Have a good night. I feel bad. I feel guilty fact-checking people. I feel guilty fact-checking people, bro. I feel guilty. I don't know why. I just feel guilty. I feel like I just told a kid Santa Claus is not real, bro. I feel like I just told a kid that Santa Claus is dead. Like, I don't know. Oh, God, it feels so like it's a mix of like awkwardness and like sadness and depression and just like total disgust and just like I don't want to have to tell someone this. I feel like I'm breaking their heart. I feel like I don't know, like when they Google it and they're like, wow, I really believed some dumbass shit. And I'm like, I feel bad about that. I don't want to be the person that shows them Santa Claus is dead or not real. Damn, bro. Thank you so much for the $5 donation to Cash App, MP. Initials MP. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. If you want the stream to keep going, Jolah Politics, and thank you for the coffee donations as well, Sliver. Really appreciate it, guys. Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. I have 2 streams going on. There's one stream on my YouTube Shorts and one stream on the same channel that's horizontal. Okay, so if you want to call in and you want a guaranteed call in, you can either call in and hope I pick up on you. But if you want to jump ahead of the line, you can donate $10 with your first name and your phone number. With your first name and your phone number to Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal to jump ahead of the line. Thank you guys for all the support. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Call from
Jolah.
Howdy.
Hey,
What's up?
this is Jolah.
Yes, it is.
Hey, man. I've been listening to you for a little while. And, for quite a while, actually.
That sucks.
And I just wanted to touch base on a couple of things. You know, I'm trying to first let's about immigration. First, of course, you know, there's illegal immigration there's laws are important, right? Let's just first say that, right? Laws are important. You agree on that?
Yeah, just with the caveat that I think most Americans don't know the law. So I'll hear someone say, for example, just crossing the border is not a criminal charge. Like a liberal will say that, and conservatives will laugh, be like, haha, you support legal immigration, open borders. It's like, no, just under like asylum law. As long as you're not purposely avoiding immigration services to hide in America, as long as you are seeking a proper channel, then it technically is legal, unless if we change the law. So that's my one caveat there, is that I don't think most Americans know what the laws actually are.
Okay, so meaning that, you know, even if you come in here seeking asylum, you're going to have some sort of documentation, whether it be a short-term visa, something. You're going to have something. some sort of paperwork. So they just don't say, okay, you're here for asylum. All right, well, go on in and enjoy your stay.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah, you can't just cross. I think it's technically, if you purposely avoid a border or a port of entry, I'm pretty sure it's like a misdemeanor. Unless if you do it over and over and over again. If you get deported and come back, then it's a felony, I'm pretty sure. Like overstaying a visa is not a crime. Entering at a legal port and seeking asylum is completely legal. But I guess, when they say it's a criminal charge, like you're a criminal or a felon, that's only for very specific cases. Yeah.
Okay, so when I heard you say undocumented immigrants, and when you say undocumented, I would think it would be fair to assume that if you're not documented, that means that you had to come in not in a point of entry because you would have documentation if you did, right?
At that point, it just means, well, you're not documented in terms of you don't have like legal residence, so you don't have a visa, or like you either entered the country. So there's different forms of it. So entering the country without a visa, or like every illegal immigrant does not have documentation, but not every undocumented immigrant is illegal, if that makes sense, or like in terms of like a criminal violation. So if you overstay a visa, you'd be that's a civil offense, I'm pretty sure. If you enter the country purposely with no visa or inspection, then that'd be the misdemeanor. And then you could also be undocumented and be an asylum seeker. So there's a bunch of different, So I mean,
Okay.
you don't have documentation in those ways.
Okay, so let's put it like this then. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Okay, say that that you're confronted by, let's say, you're in the sweep of a problem. They're coming to you and you don't have documentation. Would you be considered illegal if you don't have documentation and no way to provide it? Would that be considered then? Would you be considered illegal if you cannot provide? Because you would, right? Have to have something.
I'm not really sure. It depends. Like, if you like, it's the categories I said before for the different like types of undocumented. I'm not sure how it works if you. Yeah, I'm not really sure what all the processes are for that.
Okay,
I
well,
just know when they say
assume-
like illegal immigrant, for example, when they say illegal immigrant, it's mostly a political term. There's not much utility in saying like illegal alien, for example. The people that classify under illegal alien, I think the word alien is dehumanizing and should not be used at all. But illegal alien should never be used, in my opinion. Illegal immigrant is definitely used for like every case, when it should be used for probably a very specific set of cases where they don't follow any of the rules. You know what I mean? That's one of my big gripes with that.
Well, let's just say that, of course, I would think that the burden of responsibility, if you come into the country and you're here legally and you have documentation, you're going to keep that. It's not like you're going to come in, and if you don't, then it's your fault. That accountability is on you. If you're not responsible enough to hold something that you want to be here so bad that you can't hold on to your documentation, well, that responsibility falls on you too at that point. But we know that we do know that people are here without documentation, and we know that, right? And I heard you say earlier that undocumented immigrants, whether they came in and they're here for a while and they're working and doing, and they're living, they still came illegally. That's the idea, I think, of what Republicans are saying. They still are here illegally. It's like, if you go rob a bank and maybe go steal a couple of TVs and you commit all these crimes, and then you decide to get a job and I'm going to fly straight. And then, they find out that you've done all these crimes and they go to arrest you and you say, oh no, I'm living good now and I'm fine and I'm paying taxes and I'm living okay. Should they just say, oh, okay, well, since you're giving back to society now, have a great day. I mean, I'm just trying to understand your line.
Well, the big thing here is, so if someone's in America and they overstay a work visa, for example, and they're like a great member of the community and they just
I'm talking about
work.
illegal documents.
No, but like being undocumented,
not documented.
a large percentage of our undocumented population are visa overstays where they already have a life in America. And deporting them would be much more costly and a huge disruption to our communities. And our workforce is already pretty small in terms of total population. Our unemployment rate is very low. So we can use the extra workers in America, but that's not the main reason. Like I would, the process would typically go, if you overstay a visa, rather than spending millions of dollars or billions of dollars deporting people, which is what we're doing now, we're spending tons of money deporting people. I'd rather use my taxpayer dollars to give. So we have like DACA for children. We have like Dreamers that they want to deport now. There's like temporary protective status. We'd give them some type of protective status, and then allow people to work legally and go through a process for background checks, make sure they paid all of their taxes while working here, making sure they can go through the proper requirements to get a green card, and then after that you could have the full path to citizenship, and remove some of the barriers that these people have had. And like there's reasons where states like Minnesota allow people to get driver's licenses even if they're not documented, because there's a lot of undocumented workers in like Minnesota, and I'd rather provide a path of citizenship for them, and we should be devoting all of ICE, in my opinion, to only violent criminals, or like illegal immigrants that are violating laws and actively hiding from the law. But just families that are working, like there's some school teachers that have been deported. They're just like people that are at work being deported from work. We have U.S. military vets that are being deported because they lost documentation.
I know.
New donation.
So
from
I want
Anonymous,
to
please.
focus on like the
$10.
violent crime. But when Trump talks, the way that Trump speaks and the way that Trump gets America to speak. But I mean, right now, less than 50% are even felons or did any violent crime. So less than 50%, like over 50%. Are people I do not want to be deporting right now. And we're just like going for numbers right now with what Trump's doing. And when you hear Trump talk, I would never know that immigrants have a super low crime rate. I would never know that immigrants are usually, part of making communities safer and like the economy better in these areas. I would never know the vast majority of immigrants are amazing people. Like I would just assume, because Trump said we were invaded by these huge gangs, and they're all gang members. You can't walk outside without being killed and assaulted, and what the other word for assaulted. The way Trump speaks about this stuff really does make everyone just like be afraid to go outside. And if you go to an immigrant community, it really is not like immigrants are trying to not get deported, so they usually don't commit crime at a super high rate. I just hate the conversations around this. I feel like the conversations prevent us from ever fixing the immigration system, because people just focus on like, oh, we get them out of my country. It's like, yeah.
No, listen, man, I've got compassion, right? You've heard of the Heinz dilemma, right? The moral Heinz dilemma.
You could tell me. I don't know.
You've heard of that, right? Okay, so it's where a guy whose son is sick. A gentleman's son is very sick. He's going to die, and there's a druggist in town who has the medicine, and it's well known that it only costs him pennies to make, but he charges thousands. And Mr. Hines is a great guy, pillar of the community, wonderful man, but he can't afford it. It's that simple. So instead of trying to get but his son's on the line, right? But it's against the law. Stealing is against the law. Is it right? Probably morally, yeah, he's probably, his life is, but it is a law already. Stealing is a law. So what I'm trying to say is, and it's a touchy subject, that's why I say I have compassion, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that aren't on visas. There's a lot of people that aren't documented. And that's who he's mainly referring to. I think that, he's not just referring to people, and maybe there is a path or an avenue. If you had a visa submitted to you, or given to you, then there's going to be a record of that. There's going to be a paper trail, and you can maybe do something with those people. But there's millions and millions of people here, man, that don't have that, right? That don't have any of that. And it's well known that they're here illegally. That's why they're, wading through rivers and crossing under fences. They're much aware that they shouldn't be here, and they're coming in illegally, and that's where the term comes from. That's why you said, like you said, Obama. It's a law, and that's why he deported those people, those 3 million immigrants while he was in office.
Yeah, I just want Americans to have a more sober view of like who is like what illegal immigration actually means. Because even in Congress right now, I saw a congresswoman say that if you just cross the border or if you get like a visa overstay, that you're not technically like a felon or like an illegal alien or whatever. And Republicans laughed at her, and I'm like, that's literally the law. And like my big thing is we have a chance with like the example I gave of the visa overstays and the path to citizenship to do things that make sense for our taxpayer dollars. It makes sense for our economies. It makes sense for our humanitarian reasons. It makes sense for communities. It makes sense for every reason, like from a pragmatic sense. And it's not like a law in a sense of like you robbed someone or murdered someone. It's a technicality. It's like we promised that, like, if you heard the rhetoric from America, like as a country, at every presidential cycle, what do they say, right? We have a broken immigration system. If you work hard in America, you should have a path to citizenship, all that bullshit. We never fixed it. And all these workers came here and they're like, wow, maybe if I become a part of the American dream, I work, I pay my taxes. They pay taxes with their ITIN numbers. They can't even benefit from any federal programs. They pay into systems they can't even benefit from. Just giving trust into America, and like I said before, committing no crimes, no violence, like just being good members of their community. These are a lot of our neighbors too, and we don't even know it. We don't even know that the jobs that immigrants do, and a lot of what makes this country great. So like from every standard, in my opinion, like the path to citizenship needs to be involved in the immigration. I'm pissed at my taxpayer dollars. I don't want that spent. I do not want my taxpayer dollars. I'd rather send all of my money to Ukraine than pay for these families to be deported. Like, I'd rather send more tax dollars. I'd rather double my taxes and send all to Ukraine than to have these families be deported.
Well, it's a tricky, it's a tricky, there's a lot of caveats there, and it's like abortion. People always argue, that are pro-choice, they talk about, should it be rape, should it be this, and should it be that, and under, incest, and, all these different things. But everyone knows is that's most abortions are, done literally just, willy-nilly. They're not, that's how,
I wouldn't say willy-nilly, though. I mean, elective doesn't mean willy-nilly. Thank you so much for the $10, CB, initial CB. Thank you so much for the $10 that I saw you just sent that a few minutes ago. Thank you so much for the donation.
And I didn't want to get into an abortion discussion either. All I'm trying to do is make an example, an analogy that, it's the same thing that what I think people are doing now. Well, if you have a visa, then you should be this. And if you have, if you come in and you're doing it. But the bottom line is, if you come into the country and you didn't go through point of entry, period. And if you did, you're going to have some sort of documentation, period. And if you didn't, then you're here illegally. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that is the law. That's the definition of the law. You can't, and if you're here for asylum and all that, you still have to go through a point of entry. You're still going to have to fill out paperwork. You're still going to have to be on file. There's a process for that. So we're not talking about those people. And there's more that don't do it that way. There's more that come through illegally, which would be, not through point of entry, than there are that do. Obviously, because we wouldn't allow millions and millions and millions of people into our country. We don't allow that, but yet they're here. So we know they're coming in.
Okay, so here's U.S. law though.
Right?
8 U.S. Code 1158. So the U.S. Code is the U.S. ports of entry are often closed to asylum seekers who have long wait lists. Some flee immediate danger and cannot wait at a legal crossing. So the current U.S. code is if you cross the border without inspection, with no inspection, okay, and you turn yourself in within 1 year, your asylum request is still valid under our law. So we would need to change our laws in order for that to not be valid. So like when they say like, okay, you're not illegal for crossing the border as long as you seek asylum within 1 year, you could say we need to fix that law or find a way to adjust the legal system, but right now that's the law of the land. And that's like the issue that conservatives need to contend with is like, are we going to just deny what the U.S. law is to follow what, what goals they want to see? Or are we gonna find other solutions to fix the problem regardless? Because it just is a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact. As long as you seek asylum, you could debate and you could debate how the process works. You could debate that too. You could say it's a good or a bad thing. It doesn't matter if you think it's good or bad though. That's what the law is. So I mean, it's a matter of fact. It's legal. They're not illegal as long as you seek asylum within 1 year.
Well, it's not clear to me that is the law the way you're stating it. Okay, I don't that now that I hear you, but the way that the context of what you're putting it, it's not clear to me that that's the way it is. I think it was, when you say, well, you can come in illegally.
There are more restrictions,
without a point of entry, and then then if you turn yourself in within a year and say I'm here for asylum, I would have to, I don't think there's. It's kind of like the premise is that you've come in illegally to begin with. How can you prove that?
No, but
it's
it's not coming in illegally, and that's why you have courts, though. That's why there's immigration courts that you would asylum courts to decide what that would be if you came in with a reasonable asylum request or not, or seeking. And people in the comments are laughing right now because they don't care about laws because they're a bunch of 12-year-olds. But yeah, that's what the law is, and we could look up the law and more. There are more restrictions, by the way. There's more restrictions that coming in that way. It's not recommended at all. It's definitely not recommended. But it still is. When people are get mad about it, I'm I'm sorry that you guys are offended in chat. All you guys in chat right now that are offended, that's the law. I'm sorry, that's what the law says. You can contest it. You could say it's wrong. You could say we should approach it differently, but that's the law of the land. You cannot keep on saying this person's an illegal immigrant when they're really not an illegal immigrant, or they're a criminal when they're not a criminal. A civil infraction is not a crime, like a criminal infraction. It's not the same as a felony. It's not the same as a violent criminal. These words mean things for a reason, and we can't just degrade if we degrade the legal process for anyone, we degrade the legal process for all of us. We need to respect laws. We need to be a nation where the laws reign supreme over everything. And by the way, in chat right now, I'm gonna make everyone from horizontal stream go into short stream for the final 20 minutes of my stream. Have fun if you want to join me in shorts chat. Definitely want to see you guys there. But thank you guys for watching all night. Really appreciate the stream tonight. I'll be on tomorrow as well. Probably start around 8 p.m. Probably, let's say 9 p.m. Eastern time for sure. So if anyone else wants to call in again, come back tomorrow around 8 or 9 p.m. But yeah, I want to end on whatever point you want to end on.
Well, I just think, first of all, there should be more clarification and things like that, with these issues, where on how exactly this works, because it is one of those things of illegal, not illegal, and there's really not a whole lot of talk about it.
It's complicated too. It is complicated. At the end of the day,
and it is, but at the end of the day, man, and it's kind of like you said, I do think Trump ran on that. It's kind of funny because illegal immigration has always been a problem. It's always been an issue with every president. It doesn't matter. But hey, he brought it to the country's attention and really hammered it. That's what he ran on. Some people say he's really smart for that, whether he is or isn't or whatever. I mean, that is part of what he ran on. I do know, energy. I know when he was in office, as an American. I mean, when he was here, when he was in office, I can tell you, man, I just lived better. So, and there's so many reasons. You can say that, Americans voted for Trump because of this or that, or maybe
it could be random too. People vote for random reasons too.
I mean, there's so many different reasons, but I really believe, man, at the end of the day, wasn't it odd that they voted a Democrat into office and then they turned around and voted a Republican back into office?
It's pretty normal. It's pretty normal though.
Okay.
Yeah, because they usually vote for Democrats when there's economic down periods, and they vote for Republicans when things get really good. Republicans have seen pretty much every Great Depression or recession in American history. Then they always run the Democrats to fix the economy, and then when Democrats fix it, they give it back to Republicans. So good times help Republicans win. Republicans never win when things are bad, because the solutions are always coming. I mean, Jimmy Carter is probably the exception, because Jimmy Carter has stagflation, not due to him, but he had a lot of stagflation. So Reagan's probably the only Republican to actually win after economic downturn. But even Reagan had an issue with his economic plan. But it's not really weird in the sense that Democrats, Joe Biden, Trump barely won against someone who was unpopular, who ran a 2-month campaign after an 85-year-old Joe Biden, dumbass, tried running for president again. Trump barely won after an assassination attempt. He barely won. He had one of the smallest wins in U.S. history.
Well, that's argumentative. I mean, when you see the results, dude, it's solid.
He won. No, but he had one of the smallest. No, but he did not crush. He had one of the smallest wins. I know this is like one of those big things where it's like you're a fan of him, so you like it. But like he had one of the smallest wins in American history. You could say he crushed, but if he crushed, then, then Hillary Clinton crushed him too.
Win. So let me ask you this.
He won, but he did not crush. But
okay.
the fact he barely won with high inflation and after the assassination attempt is insane. Any president who gets an assassination attempt, they should be winning 50 states almost. Like they should be sweeping things against an unpopular candidate. If Democrats actually had a primary, if Democrats had a primary, but you know, if Democrats had a primary, if Democrats had a primary, Trump would not be president right now. The fact Joe Biden held on to the last second and then kicked the can, like that was the worst thing ever. Like Joe Biden is the reason Trump won again. Not because of his policies, but because he stayed in the race as an 83-year-old or whatever.
Well, this is what I wanted to say. Is it possible, though? I heard you. Is it possible, though? Is it just possible that Americans lived under Trump and then they lived under Biden and they said, my God, I lived much better under Trump, so I'm going to vote for him?
They did say that, but they were manipulated to say that. It was more of a manipulation thing. Well, like, oh, remember the good old days?
If they're the ones that lived under him, how is that manipulated?
Because in 2024, in April of 2024, Trump was saying that you were better off 4 months ago or 4 years ago. Were you better off now or 4 years ago? And 4 years ago was literally the heat of the COVID pandemic, and people just forgot that Trump sucked during that period, and we had we dealt with that. You think
they forgot? Bad. That's what you're saying?
I think we have with our current. We did. Americans, and by the way, people vote for those reasons all the time.
You're saying they listened to people and they just walked into like in a fog.
Yeah, why do people stay in abusive relationships? Yeah, people stay in abusive relationships for the same thing.
Their money.
Hey, I know people that go into abusive relationships that suck. They think it's a great relationship, but they're kind of tied to it. They're addicted to it. So yeah, I mean, people stay in bad relationships all the time.
Is it possible that they spent their money and they got more for their money? Life was better, and
but it's not because of Trump. It's not but like they don't know why though. No, because they can't say why. They can't say like, okay, well, for example. No. Like Biden, for example, had the strongest economy globally of any country, and you could laugh about it, but because you have an emotional viewpoint, because you kind of like have an emotional view of the stuff. But like Biden's economy was objectively strong. Like globally, we led the world with our economy. But COVID and the inflation from COVID crippled every incumbent party, whoever was in charge around the world, through the COVID inflation. Lost their elections. They were really unpopular because of the COVID inflation, but they couldn't do anything about it. It was because of supply chains and a bunch of other issues. Biden had really good, solid policy. It was one of our best recoveries from like a near recession of all time. And we're even seeing right now, Trump took over and the market's already crashing. So I mean, wokeism.
Well, he's been in office
hey man, at least wokeism kept the planes in the air, man. At least wokeism. Okay, I can't talk about Kamala. Call in another night, then we can have a fun. We can have a fun conversation.
All I was going to say was, in office with Biden, you said it was the greatest economy. Well, then it would be a no-brainer. They would have just voted for it because it was a great economy, right?
Definitely not. No, definitely not. Because people are babies. Okay. They cry about everything. Yeah, people are such pee babies. Holy crap! If Americans think things are bad right now, bro, they would never have lasted through any actual crisis, bro. Yeah, no. Americans are pampered. Yeah, no. Americans are like, oh, we have the best economy in the world. Screw that. I'm not happy. I hate gay people. It's like Americans are so pampered. No, Americans are easy to be made like spoiled brats.
People, and I work with the public. And
Okay, I'm gonna say stupid things. I need. Okay, no. Okay, we're gonna talk. Wait. Okay, no. I have to. I'm gonna say stupid things if I keep. I'm too tired. Okay, I call in again. We'll have this conversation.
Yeah,
I'm
know.
Gonna pass out.
You're very emotional, dude. Calm down.
You got emotional because I called you emotional. It's so sweet. I do appreciate the call though.
No.
Make sure you call in again a different night. I have to go though.
You just talk over somebody, man. That's all.
Oh my God, calm down, baby girl. I'm sorry I have to go. I want to get off the call. It's my stream. You won't leave, you clingy ass. Like, seriously, bro. I'm trying to leave the call. I've been trying to leave the call. It's been 10 minutes since I tried to leave the call the first time. I've been trying to leave the call. There we go. All right. Okay, so tonight was a pretty good stream. Thank you guys for all the donations and everything. And all the support, all the channel memberships. Thank you, mods, for watching the chat. All of our other mods are playing video games in the Discord every day, by the way. All of our other channel mods play Discord video games now. So they don't watch the streams anymore. They're all in a chat room together playing they're all playing poker right now. They just stopped watching my streams and they entertain themselves in the Discord now. Other than Cam. Cam's the only mod. Where's A-Golf at? Thanks, Cam. We haven't seen A-Golf in a long time. Thanks, Yup. Thanks, Suri. Yeah, they paid me. Yeah, where's A-Golf been? I miss A-Golf. A-Golf hasn't been around very often recently. A-Golf, where are you? You missed it? I'll keep it up for a little bit if you want to watch it. It was a decent one. This is probably the first good call-in stream I had in like 2 weeks or in like 10 days. Like the call-in streams have been terrible. We actually got some decent callers tonight. So hopefully I appreciate you enjoying the show, even if you have different views. I will make it my mission to change your views. Hopefully that's a sign of good things to come. Because my calls this week, past 10 days have been terrible. But this one's pretty good. Today went pretty good. I did enjoy tonight. Hopefully Friday night tomorrow we can have a really good one. And I think it should be fun. Yeah, but thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the donations. Really appreciate it, guys. And I will catch you tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, true, Cam. True, Cam. Good night. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Small-minded, not to hear from other views. Yes, that's an accurate description of my channel. My channel, I actually hide from opposing views. Yeah. I hide from opposing views. I just make video essays. I hide from opposing views. I never talk to opposing views on my channel. Yeah. Very true. I never did that. I would never talk to opposing views on my channel. I just block all dissent possible. We have an echo chamber in here. Complete echo chamber. It's hard to find someone with other ideologies. Bingo board for caller streams. We could have a bingo board. That might be interesting. Make a new bingo board every week. that would be kind of fun. That could be like a Saturday kind of thing. Because Saturday should be a decent sized stream. I feel like I need to be confident that I'm actually going to get callers. Because sometimes I just don't get callers. I probably do need to mix in some streams that are just like video reactions. So I don't need to worry about callers all the time. Because it is stressful. It's like learning how to ride a bike or some shit. I don't know. Because you have to like get the stream going and hope you get good callers. So you're rolling the dice. But it'd be some nights just to chill and react to videos. Because then I don't need to talk. Then I don't need to talk the whole time either. Oh, ow. I don't care about Democrats. But Democrats. I love the argument too where it's like, don't you remember under Trump, everything was perfect. There was nothing wrong with the world at all when Trump was president the first time. There were no wars. I could buy anything. We were all rich. Trump made utopia last time. Americans just remembered how good it was. And it's like, bro, the last 2 years of Trump were objectively horrible. Like, Jesus. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sliver. He won the popular vote by 1.5%. Yeah, even that guy, he's like, yeah, he crushed it, bro. He dominated that election, bro. He dominated it. And I'm like, bro. I'm like, bro, please. Like, he it's one of the smallest margins ever. Just like, don't be a fanboy. I feel like that gets them, though. Calling them a fanboy makes them feel bad. Like, bro, you sound like a fanboy. The comparison when you say I want to go for a walk for a dog and they start wagging their tail and jumping around. When I mentioned like Nancy Pelosi or something like, oh, Nancy Pelosi, she did the January 6th. I'm like, you sound like a dog when you're like, when you say I want to go for a walk and the dog's like, I want to go for a walk. They sound exactly the same. Okay, guys. Yeah, it's like wind up toys. Or like I said, the point about Trump had the boy with the cancer at the thing, and Democrats didn't clap, and I brought up the child cancer funding, and it's like, you got that point from Rachel Maddow and Caitlin Collins, and I'm like, bro, I don't watch CNN or MSNBC ever. That's just objectively the correct viewpoint. Like, it's just what's happening. Like, I'm sorry that the fact they think and I mentioned it multiple times tonight, they think it's a cafeteria fight, a food fight at the cafeteria, or like at recess. They think everything is just talking points. Like, you got the talking points from Rachel Maddow. It's like, no. Like, we're all just talking about the policies Trump's doing, and we're all saying the same thing because that's the objective fact about it. When you say the same thing, it's because you have the same slogans. It doesn't show understanding. Bro, too pretty. That's crazy. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. See you in Discord too. I'll hop in Discord for a little bit if you go in there to chat. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Appreciate it. See you soon.